All right, so you're looking to really nail English pronunciation. Like you've
Okay.
gone ahead and gathered a whole bunch of articles about using podcasts to help you with that.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan.
That's awesome. And we're going to help sort through all that information.
Yeah.
We're going to do a deep dive into one article in particular to pull out the best tips.
Okay.
This article is from the British Council's English learning blog called 10 English Pronunciation Podcasts to Help You Perfect Your Speaking Skills.
Perfect.
Because we all know good pronunciation is key.
It really is. It's the key to being understood when you speak English.
Exactly.
That's what we want, right?
It's not about sounding fancy.
No, not at all.
It's about just being clear.
Yeah, just making sure that people get what you're saying.
So how can podcasts actually help us improve?
Well, when you listen to podcasts, you're hearing like real English. It's not like reading it in a book.
Right.
It's the rhythms and the sounds of native speakers.
It's natural flowing conversation.
Exactly. And you can pick up on all those little things.
Yeah.
And it's also a chance to mimic what you hear,
Right.
So you can try to copy the intonation and the way they're speaking.
That's like having a coach in your pocket.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And
They
with
pick
the-
up new words.
Yeah, vocabulary.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so the first podcast on our list
Okay.
is Luke's English podcast.
Oh, yeah. Luke's great.
And get this guy's an actual British Council teacher.
He is. He knows his stuff.
He knows what he's talking about, and his podcast really focuses on the music of English, like the rhythm and the sounds.
Yeah. He does a good job of breaking it down and making it fun.
And he mixes in cultural stories and idioms to make it more engaging.
Right. It's not just like a boring pronunciation lesson.
Exactly.
It makes it interesting.
Okay, next up, we have the British Council Learn English podcast.
Okay.
Now, this one is specifically for learners at the A2 and B1 levels.
Right. So if you're still sort of building your foundation,
Yeah.
this is a good one to check out.
Okay.
Because they cover grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation.
Nice. Okay, so now for something with a bit more of a rock and roll vibe.
Okay.
Rock and roll English.
I like it.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah, me too.
So if you're looking to sound more natural in everyday English,
Yeah.
this is the podcast for you.
Right, because they use a lot of slang and informal expressions.
Exactly.
The kind of stuff you hear people actually say.
All right, now for all of you busy bees out there
Oh, yeah.
who are always on the go, the BBC has 6-Minute English.
Yes. Perfect for those short little breaks you have.
Yeah, exactly.
6 minutes, you can learn something new.
And they cover a huge variety of topics, so there's something for everyone.
Yeah, you're bound to find something interesting.
All right, now this next one is for all the football fans.
I'm intrigued.
Learn English with the British Council and Premier League.
Okay, this sounds cool.
I know, right?
So you can learn English and about football at the same time.
Yeah, you can brush up on your sports vocabulary and pronunciation,
I love it.
all while enjoying the excitement of the Premier League.
What a win-win.
All right, let's head back to the BBC with The English We Speak.
Okay.
This one focuses on those everyday phrases and expressions that we use all the time.
Right, the stuff that you might not learn in a textbook,
Yeah, exactly.
but that you hear people saying all the time.
Exactly. And it's also in a short, easy-to-digest format.
Perfect for when you just have a few minutes to spare.
Okay, next we have the Procrastination Podcast, hosted by Emma.
Oh, okay.
Now, Emma also runs Pronunciation with Emma.
So she clearly knows her stuff.
She definitely knows what she's talking about, and her podcast is really relaxed and relatable.
Cool, I like that.
Yeah, she talks about common pronunciation challenges that learners face and gives practical tips.
Awesome. So it's like having a friend who's a pronunciation expert
Exactly.
helping you out.
Now, Read Stories Learn English on Spotify sounds super interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
So imagine sharpening your pronunciation through stories. Well, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, you're immersed in the natural flow of English.
So it's not just focusing on individual words, but how they all fit together.
Exactly.
I like that. All right, and then we have Tuesday Chats.
Tuesday Chats. I like the name.
Me too, it's catchy.
Yeah.
And this podcast is all about real natural conversations.
Oh, cool. So like eavesdropping on people's conversations.
Pretty much, and they break down things like intonation, stress, and rhythm.
Interesting. So you can see how those elements work in practice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And last but not least, we have the podcast for learning English.
Okay, sounds promising.
It's a great one. It has tons of pronunciation tips, usage rules, and insights from native speakers.
Fantastic. So you can really get a deep dive into the nuances of English pronunciation.
Exactly. And the best part is there's so much variety.
Right? You can choose topics that you're actually interested in.
Exactly.
So it makes learning more fun and engaging.
Awesome. It's pretty amazing how many podcasts are out there dedicated to improving your pronunciation.
It really is. Oh, what's so cool about it is that you get exposure to real English. You know, not the kind of stiff, formal English you find in textbooks.
Right, like actual conversations.
Exactly the way people actually speak.
Yeah, it's like having a window into everyday life.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so effective for learning pronunciation.
So it's more about absorbing the natural flow of the language.
Exactly. You pick up on the rhythm, the intonation, the way words are connected.
And a lot of that happens subconsciously, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're not always thinking about every single sound,
Right.
but your brain is picking up on the patterns and making those connections.
And over time, you start to internalize those patterns and they become part of your own speech.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like learning your native language, you know?
Right.
You didn't learn by studying grammar rules. You
Mhm.
learned by listening and imitating.
And podcasts give us that same opportunity with English.
Precisely. And the best part is there's so much variety out there.
There really is. You can find podcasts on pretty much any topic.
Yeah, whether you're into sports or history or just listening to people chat about their day.
And when you're genuinely interested in what you're listening to,
Yeah,
you naturally pay more attention to the language.
absolutely. You're more engaged.
Right. And that makes learning so much easier.
It's not just passive listening. You're actively processing the information.
And making connections.
Exactly. And that's what helps you internalize the language.
So it's not just about hearing the words.
Right.
It's about actively engaging with them.
Yeah, think about them. Try to understand them. Repeat them to yourself.
And those active listening techniques we talked about earlier can really help with that.
Definitely things like shadowing, where you try to mimic the speaker's pronunciation.
Or pausing the podcast to repeat phrases and work on your intonation.
Those strategies can make a huge difference.
You know, something that stood out to me in the British Council article
Oh, yeah.
was the advice to focus on specific pronunciation challenges you might have.
Right, because it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the different sounds and rules.
Exactly. But if you break it down into smaller chunks, it becomes much more manageable.
Yeah, it's like having a personalized pronunciation workout plan.
I like that.
You focus on the areas that need the most attention.
So instead of trying to tackle everything at once,
Right.
you can really zero in on those specific areas where you need to improve.
And as you make progress in those areas,
Yeah.
you'll notice that your overall pronunciation starts to sound more natural and clear.
And that leads to more confidence.
Absolutely. Because when you feel good about your pronunciation, you're more likely to speak up and participate in conversations.
Exactly.
And that's how you really put your skills to the test.
It all comes down to embracing the journey, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's about continuous improvement and not being afraid to make mistakes.
Exactly, because language learning is a process.
It's like a lifelong adventure.
And the more you practice and experiment,
Yeah.
the better you'll become.
You know, as we've been talking about all these techniques and podcasts,
Yeah.
something's been on my mind.
Oh, what's that?
It's the idea that pronunciation is about so much more than just getting the sounds right.
Right.
It's about using your voice to express yourself.
Yeah, to convey emotions.
Exactly, to bring your words to life.
It's like the difference between reading a script and giving a speech. The same words can have a totally different impact depending on how they're spoken.
It's those subtle nuances of pronunciation,
Hmm.
the way you inflect your voice, emphasize certain words, the pauses you take.
Yeah, all those things contribute to the meaning and the feeling behind your message.
And it's not just about expressing your own emotions.
Right.
It's also about being attuned to the emotions of others.
Yeah, being able to pick up on those subtle cues in their speech.
Exactly, because that shows that you're really listening.
Yeah, you're not just hearing the words, you're understanding the meaning behind them.
It's about connecting on a deeper level.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want you to think about this. How can you use your voice not just to pronounce words accurately, but to really connect with others and express yourself fully?
That's a great question to ponder.
It's something to keep in mind as you continue your pronunciation journey.
Because ultimately it's about using our voices to communicate and connect with the world around us.
You know, it's funny. We often think of language learning as, all about textbooks and grammar rules.
Yeah, it can feel very technical sometimes.
Right. But as we've been talking about, there's this whole other side to it.
Yeah, like the human element.
Exactly. It's about connecting with people, sharing experiences.
Right. Using language to express yourself and your ideas.
And pronunciation plays such a huge role in that.
It really does. It's how we make those connections.
It's like the bridge between the words and the listener.
I like the bridge between words and hearts.
Yeah, when your pronunciation is clear, your message can just flow effortlessly.
Right. There are no barriers.
And that's when true communication happens.
Yeah, when we can connect on a deeper level.
Like, we're opening a window into our world.
And letting others in.
And at the same time, we're opening ourselves up to their perspectives.
It's a two-way street.
Thinking back to all those podcasts we talked about,
yeah,
it's amazing how each one offers a different approach.
Right, different flavors for different learners.
And that's so important because everyone learns differently.
Absolutely. Some people like structured lessons. Others prefer a more immersive experience.
It's all about finding what works for you.
Yeah, experimenting and exploring different methods.
And don't be afraid to try new things.
Exactly. Step outside your comfort zone.
The most important thing is to enjoy the process.
Yeah, because when you're having fun, learning becomes so much easier.
And that enjoyment will shine through in your conversations.
Absolutely. People will notice your passion.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this. Remember that language is about connection.
Yeah, building bridges.
Sharing stories, creating experiences.
So go out there and explore the world of English pronunciation.
And discover the power of your own voice.
We'll be here to support you every step of the way.
That's right. Happy learning, everyone.